This is an extract from our Hero Club. We have calls 3 times a week. Please like the video if you learned something. This is an extract from our Hero Club. We have calls 3 times a week. Please like the video if you learned something. Look how it is, because tomorrow it's going to be different.
No, here's the part. Here, those that you see on my screen right now that are listed, they're now a standard. And actually, it doesn't matter which AI agent you use, you have at least these guys. And as soon as the sessions start, you can do X. As soon as the user sends their prompt, you can do stuff before using the tool, after the tool has been used, when the sub agent finishes, and when the whole thing stops. When you say stop, is when the agent finished their whole job, and then you have the session end, or when there are errors. So you can create little things. Those are just events. So whenever an AI finishes whatever they're doing, they send an event saying, hey, I stopped. And what we can do then is, oh, when that happens, let's launch X or Y. And this is the part that I'm a little bit curious about, because I'm trying to understand how Irfan is looking at it. But whenever you create a hook like this, it is not AI per se. So it's not AI that is doing anything. This script gets launched, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. A lot of these things, when a hook gets executed, the AI gets an internal notification saying, this hook happened and these were the results of it. So AI knows what happened, because in the end, many times, many hooks, for example, for this one here, the save preferences, this grabs the user string and then generates a value. And usually AI knows, okay, so this is what happened, this is what was saved, and it will give you a little bit of a notification that the AI can see. I don't know how to explain it, but basically, all of those things, they add to the finer control. Like when certain people want to have fine control of how AI behaves, you have that. There are the other people who say, just give me the results in the end, which is okay, right? Like I just want it working. But the point is, that would be unreliable many times, because you can ask it the same request 5 times, and out of those 5 times, one of them might not do what you wanted.
Yeah,
right?
Because it's not a program. Yeah,
right. Exactly. It's not a program. Right. It's not deterministic. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So I want to mention an example so user can understand. So we have a good hooks example. So we use notify class. So for example, I have multiple VS Code open, and I am doing chat session with each VS Code window. Mm-hmm. And whenever a massive question pop up, some AI wants some instruction or asking question, notification pops up because of the hook. And then I just click on that, and that window activated for me.
Now, here's my question to you. Has it happened that you didn't get the notification?
Oh, I always get them.
You always do. Yeah. Because that's the point of the hook. You always get the notification. But here's the problem. If you use a skill or an instruction, sometimes the skill is just ignored, or the instruction is not followed. Yeah. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
But it also depends on your descriptions of the skill and how well you've labeled it and explained when it should get triggered.
Even if I've had,
but you can also, for example, but you can put the / name of the skill to call it.
Right. But here's the point. Like, this is what I meant. I use the AutoHotkey instructions, for example. I have a file that is the AutoHotkey instructions. As soon as I open an AutoHotkey file, that instruction is loaded.
Yep.
And when I say do X or Y and hit enter, sometimes it just doesn't follow the instructions that are in my file, because and this is the point, not because the instructions were wrong, it's just that the context maybe was not there at that time.
Which is also why I say I have my handoff approach, where I keep that context window very short.
Oh, okay. How is that?
Well, I built a skill that I just tell it, I come up with the plan, right? And I say, here's what I want to do. Usually I might implement the same way we do our code, right? I'll implement the first little thing, more than 5 minutes. Let's say I work 10 minutes, and I'll say, create a handoff. It goes and looks what the goal was. It takes the goals. It says, what have we done in our checklist? What has actually been done? What are bugs we've patched? Writes that to a markdown file, and then gives it instructions. And actually now it copies it to my clipboard. So I close that session, I hit a new session, I paste, and it runs. It reads it in.
Yeah. So you start off with a fresh
exactly.
context.
Yeah.
Okay.
So very early on.
I have been testing with that is the compact command.
I just don't. I feel better. Yeah, and David's been talking about he does, but he has his own approach too. But this way, I know I'm not losing anything. I'm choosing exactly what it does, and you can emphasize compact. You can tell it put more weight on my instructions to make sure, like it does. You can do that, but this works. And this is where it comes, which you're not necessarily with us right now doing work, but Irfin can open it up and pick up where I left off. It has everything it needs, right? And that's the big aha. I know that's in Claude, we could save, we can move our JSON files and other stuff to a shared folder. But I'm like, what? You remember with Windows when you would install, this is a long time ago, it was probably like XP. Yeah, you can install outside of the program files folders. But it was like sort of hit and miss with things working. That's why I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait another year before I move stuff out of where it expects it. Yeah, I'm like, I don't trust it. But yeah,
okay. Let me
keep that context window really short.
Yeah. I think I understand now what you meant.
That doesn't solve all your problems, so I know you know that, but it does help, I think.
Now let me ask you this: how much do you use the? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to tell you that because you'll appreciate this. No one here would care. G Swig happened to write me the other day, and we were sharing, and he's like, "Hey, do you have Descolada's email? Because I'd love to talk to him about this." So, I forwarded it to G Swig. I'm sorry, to Descolada. But I also asked Descolada, "Hey, how you been, and how you using AI?" And he actually said, he was using AI a lot, but he said the same thing you said, Isaias. He will start something and in like 4 hours, even though he's on the same plan I'm on. He's like, in no time, I'm burned through.
He's burned. Yeah.
And I'm like, I really think it would be wonderful if we could figure out what we're doing differently. Because I tell you, I forget if you were on when I said this. I spend 20 minutes before I go to bed laying out instructions, and I tell it to go work on it, and it doesn't work through the night, but it finishes whatever. It works for hours, and I'm working in the day. I get up at 3, and I'm doing stuff all day.
And let me clarify something. You are in the $100 plan, right?
Yeah.
You're not in the highest $200 whatever.
No, correct. Right.
$100. Okay.
And Irfan and I are both on the same account, so he's drawing well as well. Okay,
so let me ask you this: are you guys using the any MCP that lowers your tokens?
That was we switched to the CLI, which because the MCP was eating up quite a bit of token. Every time it launches, it takes all of it would need. There's how a skill is a waterfall. A skill will use a little tiny bit at the front, and then if it's needed, it pulls the rest. Right? MCPs pull the entire thing of whatever it needs all up front, even if you don't use it. Right, so we disabled all of our MCPs, or I did at least.
Whenever you need MCPs, just enable them. Otherwise, you should be disabling them.
Which is the other one, Irfan. We need to go back, especially with AI. The profile changer, like we need to finish that because that's a phenomenal one to quickly enable and just have a profile of like, well, here's my setup for web scraping and AutoHotkey. Here's my one for Python and stuff. Like, and just switch between them because it's not easy.
Let me ask you this.
No.
So what is the editor, the IDE that you use the most? Do you use Claude Code?
Well,
do you use VS Code?
Well, no, we're using VS. We're accessing Claude Code through VS Code to be more confusing. Or it's an ASM.
I use Claude Code extension on VS Code and Claude Code terminal. So
right, you're using the CLI agent, not
the CLI. Sometimes I use CLI, sometimes I use that. So
right. So the point what I'm thinking is, so if you're not using any sort of tool that grabs your prompt and makes it like caveman, right?
Yeah.
So that goes ahead and shorts it, or that every time the IDE is sending stuff, because that's the part that I think burns the most of the tokens. Like, now, maybe, hold on, maybe the way how you prompt it, as you give more leeway to, oh, hold on, model usage. Are you using like high reasoning? So I would assume Opus 4.6, but do you make it high reasoning?
I use the moderate. I use the medium, whatever it is.
I always use medium. I never use
Right.